white mama. And when I say thug life, I mean that shit. Cause these white folks see us as thugs. I don't care what y'all think. I don't care if you a lawyer, if you a man, if you an African American, if you whatever the fuck you think you are. Put thugs in these motherfuckers. And until we own some shit, I'ma call.
I wanted to talk today about this Black Wall Street and about this revisionist version of history that we see. Naturally, the winners are always the virtuous. They never did anything wrong. And the losers are always the evil people, painted as evil people. And when you see things like the LA Times articles about the Tupac and Biggie murders, that is a particular slant on the case that the media has put out there. And you see, as we get closer and closer to the truth, you see the number of shows that are starting to come out. Now, is it because the Tupac and Biggie murders are popular and everybody wants to see, or is it because the people that have something to hide have a narrative that they want to push on the public? And I think you would see that it's a narrative. I mean, you look at the ratings that these shows have gotten, and the shows really aren't that big. It's not like there's hundreds of millions of people that can't wait to tune in to find out what happened to Tupac and Biggie. And in fact, because the airwaves are so filled with things about Tupac and Biggie, everybody's like, oh yeah, another theory, another whatever. And so we see the ties that these shows have. And it all really leads back to Universal. You have a USA show that's been greenlit, that ties back to Universal. Labyrinth is being distributed by a company that ties back to Universal. You have all of these shows seem to somehow have their hand tied back to Universal. And Universal was the distributor that distributed Tupac's music. They had the most to gain by Tupac not being with us. Interscope had the most to gain by Tupac not being with us. And so, we can't dismiss that they are somehow complicit or involved in the demise of Tupac. And even in the whole music industry, destroying the black family by participating in the crack epidemic. Universal was known as a mob company for many years. There's a great book called Reagan, MCA, and the Mob. And that really details Universal's kind of involvement. And, it's not like it's a big conspiracy theory. I mean, you have a company that wants to have favor. They want to make money, and they're willing to do things that to others seem unethical in order to make that money. To others, things that may be illegal to make that money. But when you have cover from government, then it's okay to do those kind of things. And there's ample evidence that points to this. But the real fact is that there is a problem. There is a problem that there are cartels out there that do not want competition. And that's the reality. Suge wanted to put together Lucky 7 distribution, which would have been the 7th distributor. That really wasn't seen as something that the powers that be really wanted to see happen. You had Tupac, who had unbridled ambition. He wanted to run a studio. He wanted to be at the top of his game. And were they really going to let that happen? Obviously, we got our answer. They're not going to let that happen. They're not going to let Tupac Shakur become a superstar and have his influence and his voice and do good. You look at the Thug Life thing, which was early on kind of in Tupac's career, his short career, where he got gangs to have peace. and he was going to be an incredible activist. Now the situation with the NFL, and I had a conversation with Mayor Omar Bradley, and he kind of weighed in on that, and he said, I understand why and what they're trying to accomplish, but they're not doing it the right way. And I think that does make sense. I think it's time for all of us to not be racist in any way, shape, or form. It's time to live up to what Martin Luther King Jr. said when he said that a person should be judged based on the content of their character. And that's really how people should be judged, not by any other determining factor. And if we wanted to end racism today, we could do it. We could end racism today if we all had the will to do it. If each and every one of us took an oath that we were going to never discriminate against any human for any reason, and then we had all of our friends take that same oath, and we only did business with people who took the oath, and we judged people only by the content of their character, racism would be over. Sexism would be over. Not judging anybody for any other reason than the content of their character takes away a lot of ills in this world. And so I invite all of you, take the oath. Say, I will never discriminate against any human for any reason, and I will judge only, like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, based on the content of a person's character. Take that oath, and then get all of your friends to take the oath, and make them all take an oath that they're going to get their friends and their friends' friends and their friends' friends' friends to all take the oath. And then only do business with people who've taken the oath. Don't do business with anybody who would not take this oath. It's a simple oath. We can end racism today. I encourage all of you to do this. Take that oath. I've taken the oath. Mayor Omar Bradley took the oath. I think it's time for all of us to judge people based on the content of their character, not on any other determiner. And let's live up to the dream that Martin Luther King Jr. had and what he was killed for. He was killed because they, the powers that be, were afraid that this was going to take root and that it was going to stop the powers that be from being able to manipulate us against each other, because they only have power if they can divide us. They don't have power if we are united. Education should be free. Education should be free because it's an investment into humanity. Healthcare should be free because it's an investment into humanity. But corporate welfare needs to be stopped. And these are the people that are trying desperately to divide and conquer all of us. And we can't be divided if we don't let them divide us. So take the oath. Let's see if we can't usher in the world that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dreamed of, where everybody was judged based on the content of their character, not any other reason. More later.
Just, did a movie, got a little bit of money, living okay, black neighborhood. I had to be in a white neighborhood, so I don't fit in. That's hell. It's hell when you can't be around your peers. All my life I grew up around black people, poor people, but I can't live around poor people now because they'll rob me. And why would they rob me? Because they're starving, because there's no money here. But they're telling me, now that I made a little money, I have to move here. So it's not like no one's ever trying to deal with this section. They're just moving away from it. And we're going to have more stars coming from the ghetto, but they're gonna all move this way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all the society is doing is leeching off the ghetto. They use the ghetto for their pain, for their sorrow, for their culture, for their music, for their happiness, for their movies, to talk about boys in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be I don't want to be 50 years old at a BET shall overcome achievement awards. You know what I'm saying? Not me. You know, I want when they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing,